Tonight, Kansas Representative Sharice Davids will bring a guest she says she doesn't always agree with.
That's the president of the Kansas Farm Bureau who will sit beside her during the joint session. Keith Grant asked them today about the future of Kansas farmers as these new tariffs are set to take effect.
Mike and Rachel, the two know the immediate impact on tariffs. Kansas farmers and ranchers will likely face steep costs, but Davids and Joe Newland with the Kansas Farmers Bureau weren't quite sure if there will be any federal help with the burden. In 2018 and 2019, when Trump first imposed tariffs during his first term, farmers received trade aid checks. The money was supposed to help farmers through those tariffs. And even with federal help, farm bankruptcies jumped 20% in 2019. This time, though, President Trump has brought up the idea, but nothing's been confirmed.
Some of my concern is the lack of predictability and the uncertainty in the approach that I've seen from the president.
Well, I think uncertainty is definitely the optimum word here.
That was Newland with the Kansas Farm Bureau. He says there's too much uncertainty right now for producers in general. There's no farm bill, and farmers don't know if tariffs will hurt them in the long term. Mike?
Thanks, Keith. Take a look at this.